Today's our topic of webinar is project cost control in construction. So we will go through each individual step of the project cost control in projects in construction. Table of content is, first of all, we will discuss the importance of cost controllers in the.
Hi, Anil. Sorry to interrupt. Can you please switch off your video? I think video is not serious.
So
yeah, please proceed.
So the table of content is importance of project cost control in our construction industry. Then what is the function of the project cost controller? Next is typical job responsibilities. Then we will see the career path. What are the job opportunities available in the various sectors of the industry? Then what are the software available in the market for this construction control? Job opportunities. Then we will see the basic terms in the project cost control, and we'll go through the one of the case study. Next slide, please. Now we'll see the importance of cost controller in the industry. Real estate industry is one of the leading sectors in India, which contributes major parts into the GDP. This sector is expected to grow significantly over the few years. It is forecasted to reach $650 billion by 2025, as per the Indian Brand Equity Foundation. This is basically one of the major sector of the economy, having a lot of growth opportunities. Now we will see the next slide. There is a huge demand in residential and commercial projects in metros, and to manage these upcoming projects, industry requires large number of project cost controllers and quantity surveys. Basically, if you see all of the metro cities have large residential commercial projects are coming up in terms of residential township, IT parks, industrial hubs. A lot of potential is there for the project cost controller in this industry. Go to the next slide. Now we'll see what is the function of project cost controller. Basically, this is the responsibilities. The function of project cost controller, we say quantity surveyor or estimator or budgeting engineer, is to work out the project budget of project initially, keep the project cost in line with the budgeted cost and planned cost without affecting the timelines. And in nutshell, this is actually controlling the expenditure during the both planning as well as in execution phases of construction without altering the timelines. This is basically major project cost controllers job requirement, JD we can call. We'll go to the next slides. Then work out the budget of projects initially. Then do we need next slide, please? Now, additionally, perform the quantity survey of drawings, preparation of bill of quantities, cost rate analysis, setting up budgeted cost, integrating BOQs and cost analysis, publishing the tender and bidding tender, reviewing the various bids of the tenders, arranging the quotes like L1, L2, L3, L5. This is basically initially we have to do all the quantity surveying of the drawings, then work out the quantities, then accordingly set up the budget, then issue the tenders to the various contractors. When we receive the bid, then accordingly who is the lowest, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, we have to arrange in a systematic way. Next slide, please. Now in the construction phase, the engineer has to do the billing works and billing monitoring works. Basically, the contractors will submit the construction RA bills, we call it, and then the engineer will certify it and the bill monitoring will be done. Then cash flow planning has to be done. See, each individual projects will go through the many months. So in each month, how much cash flow is required, how much funds is required, that cash flow planning has to be done so that the finance department can arrange the funds effectively. Submitting and reviewing and settlement of claims. The contractors, what they will do, they will submit the claims for the variation works, changes. Then the cost control needs to review these claims, and then as per the actual condition, the claims has to be settled. So this is one of the responsibility of the cost controller. Cost risk analysis assessment. This is basically cost risk has to be worked out associated with the project, because the project budget is freeze, and if there is a cost overrun, then the cost risk assessment has to be worked out, and then accordingly management has to be apprised on the same. The next is value engineering works. For the project, the value engineering has to be done. Value engineering means basically coming up with the alternatives for the same specification of works without affecting the basic concept of the works, but it has to be a cost effective work. This is we call as value engineering work. Then we have purchase of materials and cost review. So the purchase department will purchase all the materials and the services for us. That includes the cement, steel, doors, windows, tiles, painting works. Then we have to review as a cost controller that the purchase is within limit of the budgeted cost. This is basically purchase cost review. Then we have contracts and work order award cost review. For major works, civil works, finishing work, facade works, the interior works, the contracts will be awarded to the contractors, and that contracts has to be work order has to be within the budgeted cost of the initial working out the budget. So it should not be over cost overrun. So that review has to be done by a project cost controller. Next is project construction schedule and cost review. So scheduler will be there, he will prepare the schedule, and then he will monitor the schedule. But as a cost controller, we need to have eye on this project construction schedule, because as the schedule get extends, if there is any delay, then overheads will get increase for all staff costs, electricity, all associated overheads. Then that cost will be add on to the budgeted cost. So we need to have project construction cost review. Next slide, please. Next is the subcontractor management. So in a typical project, there will be n number of subcontractors. We call it sometimes petty contractors, or those all subcontractors. We need to have a total control in terms of issuing the work orders, their bills, their settlements, their payments, and then closing of the bills. So this is basically subcontractor management, small contractor management. Then payment clearance to the contractors. All contractors will submit the bills. Then accordingly, payment invoice will be internal document will be issued for payment of the particular contractors. So in that we have to certify that particular amount is work is done, and this amount should be released for the contractors' payments. So next is project billing closing. So all contractors will submit their bills. The final bills, that final bill has to be closed from the project controller's point of view, so that project is closed. So full and final billing has to be done. That is more important responsibility, because there will be variations, there will be inequality issues, safety issues, and that has to be settled, and then project closing has to be done. Another thing is contractual correspondence and letter writing. So in a project, there will be a contractual correspondence between developers, consultants, contractors. So that correspondence has to be as per contracts, and the project costing is basically considered during the letter writing, and specific figures, specific escalation, cost escalation, liquidity damages has to be stated clearly. Then litigation and legal works and documentations. Sometimes what happens, the developers, consultants, contractors, they are not in same paper. So one party goes into the NCLT High Court for demanding the liquidity damages or additional cost. In that case, all the correspondence which we earlier done has to be mapped and all document has to be given to the legal document department, so that legal department can work out in the case against the particular party. The last responsibility is MIS preparation. There will be monthly information system for each projects in which there will be a chapter for cost, and most of the directors, CEOs, they will be very keen on reading out the chapter on the cost, stating where the project cost going in terms of the budgeted cost, escalation, delays. So this is MIS preparation is also one of the responsibility for cost chapter for the cost controller. Now we will go to the next slide, please. Now we will discuss the career path for project cost controllers. At entry level, engineer project cost controllers, certified engineers will get the opportunity as a junior billing engineer or junior estimation engineer or junior quantity surveyor or junior project controls engineer. This is basically when you enter into the particular company. For entry level, these are the titles you get. And when the experience goes on at the mid level, then you get a managerial post that includes the manager for billing works or manager for estimation or manager for cost management or manager for commercial department. These are the various terms being used for the career path for the mid-level manager work. Now we'll go to the next slide. Now for the top manager, this is the top management who drives the company. The project cost control, when it goes upwards in the organization structure, he reaches at the vice president or general manager billing, vice president or general manager estimation, vice president or general manager cost management, vice president or general manager commercials, or sometimes we call them head of the department for billing, estimation, cost management, commercial. This is very important key position where the heading of the particular department handling the end-to-end responsibility in terms of cost, so that project delivers on time with the quality and budget. Now we'll go to the next slide, please. Now to execute the responsibilities, we will require the software support so that we can map up the things on time. So first software we will discuss is MS Project. This software is used in many construction projects in India. This is used to plan the construction activities, assign the cost associated with the project, and we can track the cost of the projects. MS Project is one of the important application by Microsoft, and this is available in most of the construction sites. This is very popular in the India, and most of the engineers on the projects, they use MS Project. So if you see the overall market, 80% of the projects will have the MS Project application for the construction project to map up the things. Next application is Primavera P6. This software is used in some construction progress in India and Middle East to plan the construction activities, to track the time and cost of the projects. This is basically used on international projects. Primavera P6 is one of the popular international applications in UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, Qatar. Their Primavera is basically having major usage. In the Middle East, 80% of the projects run on the Primavera because it is basically enterprises, and can map up the things for many projects simultaneously. Because see, in Middle East, the contracting companies have, say in UAE, a particular contracting companies have 7 projects going on. Then all 7 projects will run on the Primavera P6. And then the company's managing director can integrate the all projects simultaneously for the in terms of cost for the Primavera P6, and he can get the single cost report from the Primavera P6. So this is basically have a usage for enterprise having multiple projects going on, and they can integrate the cost of various projects in single application. Basically, for multiple projects, monitoring Primavera P6 is one of the key application in the industry. But in India, the most of the international projects, they use Primavera P6, like airport project, metro projects, the major stadiums and the industrial parks, where the international consultants and contractors are working. There they are majorly using the Primavera P6. Now we'll go to the next slide, please. The next application is the Candy. This is another application used in Middle East and Africa for tracking the time and cost of the project. Candy is basically South African application. Now Indian companies also using the Candy. It is very handy and easy to use and easy to learn application for monitoring the schedule as well as time and cost. So this is basically used in major projects in Middle East as well. Now the next application is SAP. This software is used by big companies and enterprises. All the project activities are mapped by SAP. The big companies, like major companies, the big listed, public listed companies, they use SAP. In SAP, they put up the all cost, and they can map the all expenditure on SAP as well, because they do all the certifications, the invoicing, the payments, the time and cost implication. Everything is mapped in this SAP. For each SAP application, different login IDs are there, so people can individually log in the things. They can submit their bills. The certification happens on the SAP as well, and payment invoice, the payment status, everything is mapped on SAP. So for SAP, it is very easy to use application. So individual can learn the things very quickly. Now we'll go to the next slide, please. Now we'll discuss the application MS Excel. This is basically one of the basic application is used, and each individual sites on the India, they use MS Excel to put up the all quantities, rates, and the file sharing also between various engineers, various departments, the billing, everything is easy in terms of MS Excel. So it saves the times, easy to operate, and gives quick result. So this is basically one of the popular applications for the cost control. Now we will go to the next slide, please. Now we will discuss the job opportunities in the industry. First, initially we will discuss the job opportunity with the real estate developers. Real estate developer is basically who owns the land, and he plans the project in terms of how much big project he is going to plan, number of stories, number of units, and he required the project cost controller to do n number of things. Then real estate requires project cost and quantity survey estimate to plan their project cost. They can plan their finance and launch the projects with suitable sales rates. During construction phase, the actual expenditure is controlled by cost controller. See what the business is about. Real estate developers, they purchase the land, and then they plan the drawings with the architecture, and based on that drawings, we quantity survey, the cost controller will work out the budget, and that budget cost will be shared with the management. Then management will do their own calculations, and then they will work out the sales rate, and then they will launch the project, and they will start selling the flats. This is basically with real estate developers. Project cost controller, estimator, quantity surveyor has key responsibility to map up the not only budget, but to map the actual expenditure in terms of the project closing, so that the company has control over the cost. Some of the real estate key players in India are like Godrej Properties, Oberoi Realities, the Brigade Group, the India Bulls Group, the Prestige Estate Group, the DLF, the Lodha Group, the L&T Realty Group, Sobha Group. So they basically this is one of the key sector for real estate developers where they hire many cost controllers, quantity surveyors, estimators, because these big players have lot of projects in each individual cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, NCR, Ahmedabad, and in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha. So a lot of projects are there, and to control these individual project costs, the main people are the project cost controller or quantity surveyor estimator. This is basically key position in terms of real estate developers point of view. Now we will go to the next slide, please. Now we'll explore the opportunity with the contracting companies. Contracting companies require project cost controllers, quantity surveyors, estimators prepared to bid for tender. When the companies get the work order, they will monitor the expenditure, billing, and submission of variation claims for all deviations from the work order for time, specifications, and quantity. So basically, contracting business is like that. When the real estate developers or any client issues the tender, the contracting companies need to have prepare at par bid to get the job. So they have to understand the all quantities for the works. They need to work out the exact rates for the work, and then they put up the project cost. And when they get the job, then they have to execute the work. During execution, there is a billing procedure. Then there is the variation claims are there, and then there is a full and final bill settlement. And then each individual cash flow has to be monitored so that company is in profit for the particular projects. So for contracting point of view, for each contracting company, there are project cost controllers, quantity surveyors, billing engineers, estimators based on site as well as on head office. So in contracting company, there is a large demand for the these sectors staff. There are the leading contracting companies in India, like L&T Contracting Company. They have many projects all over the India. The Capacity Construction Company, they also have all over India projects. HCC, Hindustan Construction Company, this is also big company. And Afcons Construction Company, Patel Engineering, Nagarjuna Construction Company. And apart from that, there are many basically small companies. They are handling individual projects. They also require the billing engineer, because billing engineer or the project cost controller is the key person, because that runs the show for in terms of cash flow and runs the company. They bring the revenue to the company. This is key position in terms of the contracting companies.